Hello friends, Clage back to another Punishing Grey Raven video today, and I haven't done a stream of consciousness roll for the character stream? Video. That's what these are. I'm leaving that in. I don't care. These are for fun and low effort, and so I'm not even gonna bother editing any of this. Nonetheless, I haven't done one of these for a while. I did not do one for Alpha's release, mostly because I was just very busy getting the guide done for Alpha, and there was a lot of other stuff going on. I just didn't feel like recording my rolls or talking about it, but things are a little less hectic right now. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I figure why not? Let's yap for 10 minutes and be disappointed when I don't get anything early, as you should always expect with any gacha game. But if you've never watched one of my roll videos, I keep a spreadsheet to torture myself and see who wants to be nice to me and save me some black cards and who wants to drain me of the little money I make from making PGR videos in the first place. So, but here's where we are. No one has ever truly made me go the distance, so I can really only complain so much, and by that I mean zero. I've never had to actually do the maximum to get what I want out of a single character's banner, but general rule for me, I take all the characters to Triple S because I can afford to be a filthy whale as someone who makes content for this game, and I enjoy having the characters with all their actual kit unlocked, which is becoming more and more of a problem of late. That's actually another video I want to talk about, which is the general uptick in where a character feels complete. So if you want to hear a yap video on that, let me know, because it's definitely something I'm highly considering. But either way, Triple S weapon and cub is what I usually do for every character. So let's get the less interesting rolls out of the way, see how many copies we can get of the cub in a pull or two. None to start, as expected. My hope is this is just like I don't hit early on anything, as I should deserve for not doing one of these videos for like 6 patches or however long it's been. That was early. Okay, well, that works. 2 for the price of 1? Sure. Twist my arm, Kuro. Multiple Patricks. I can now start my own SpongeBob community. Excellent. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little odd for me to put the SpongeBob joke, even though it was the freest and most low-hanging fruit I could have done for the Karenina guide. Mostly because, if you've forgotten, I'm old, and I didn't really watch SpongeBob, because by the time it was kind of a thing and getting popular, I was basically already in college, so... But, you know, nobody cares. Alright, that's not the actual weapon we want. That's the weapon we want. The May Anchor. Alright. I don't remember what my weapon luck has been like of late. I don't think I've bricked on the weapon pull in a good while. I know on the test server I definitely did, but I don't really count those for anything, because why would I? But sometimes it's interesting. I've had times where the test server gave me the most amazing luck of all time, and then I get the polar opposite on my actual pulls, but I've also had the polar opposite of that happen, where I get abysmal luck on the test server, and then my pulls go swimmingly, so, you know. Such is the nature of pulling in any gacha game. Alright. Brick or no? That is not a brick. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. Cool. Alright, so let me calculate here. So that was 2 pulls on the cub, so 5,000, and 3 on the weapon, so we're at 12,500. I can do math. I can't, actually. I just woke up not too long ago because I'm an overnight kid, but that's the fun of doing these, is I just yap into the microphone while being mostly sleepy, and whatever you get is what you get, so you're welcome and or I'm sorry, depending on how you feel about these videos. But anyway, we need 4 copies of good old Karen here, so let's just start denting my wallet for fun and, I was going to say profit, but it would be the opposite of profit. Actually, even look. How close are we on? What did I leave off on? Okay, 13 to 60. All right, good to know. So, keep track for my actual math here so I can do the grand total at the end. Dang, that was almost all purple. Good lord. I definitely haven't had any, like, Omega luck pulls in a good while. I think the last time that I really got over the top luck was probably with Liv or Veronica. I know both of them I got, like, 2 copies early, which is always incredible. Like, getting any copy early in PGR is pretty huge. just because the rates are so low. But I would still take this over just about any other gacha system out there. I would much rather have a super low chance of getting the character early and just knowing exactly how much I'm going to have to spend if I want to get my, you know, desired evolution rank on the character. It's just so much less stressful. Like, as someone whose first gacha game and still longest standing gacha game is FGO, not having a safety net on your gacha pulls does not feel great. Even though FGO technically has pity now and such, it's still a not a very amazing pity system, so you're still very much at the mercy of whatever it feels like putting you through. So, okay, one copy done. That took the full 15K, so add that. All right, copy number 2. Let us begin. Burning through the BC. It's always fun because I'll get usually like 1 or 2 comments per video or per guide where someone's like, how do you have so much BC? And it's like, well, I'm 1, a filthy whale, 2. I also hoard in gacha games really, really badly. I'm very paranoid about not having enough resources in any gacha game I play, so I always keep a massive buffer on hand because, I don't know, this is what happens when you become an adult for a while and deal with financial obligations. You just learn to go, I'm too afraid to not have a backup plan, which, you know, having a backup plan in 2026 economy is good luck. Alright, how many is that? We are, okay, we're 4 pulls into this, well, 40 pulls, I should say. 410 pulls, there. That's how math works. That's how numbers work. Does it terrify you all to hear me be so flippant about numbers when my literal goal with making guides is to understand numbers correctly? It probably should. It concerns me. But then again, you know, I'm guaranteed to get something wrong every guide. That's just the nature of doing stuff in a testing environment early. Like, the last few guides have gone pretty well. I haven't missed too much. I was very paranoid about this one until we got the last second update for the translation. Because I'm like, even as I was writing and recording, I'm like, there is no way that all of this is correct, because if you've had to rely on machine translation for any amount of time, you know to take it with a massive grain of salt. And even though I was able to parse out most of it, I was sitting there doing the scripting and recording and just being like, there is no way I got all this right. Like, it's just not feasible to expect the POS Google Lens app on my phone to get these kind of translations right. It's also doubly interesting because the base for global testing seems to be the Japanese server, because interestingly enough, all the untranslated text is usually in Japanese. It's not actually in Chinese. And so I don't know if that's already been modified from the original Chinese text or how they do it. So it's not at all unlikely that I was actually, you know, using a machine translation app and basically having it go through 2 languages at once, or basically retranslating an already done retranslation, which is, you know, a recipe for disaster. But thankfully that got cleared up and I was able to, you know, get out information much closer to the actual tooltips and such. Which, don't get me wrong, re-recording everything at the absolute last minute was a little nerve-wracking, a little exhausting, but, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, and I don't want to put out shitty guides, so I was just like, well, it's not that different of a script. You're just gonna have to re-record everything and re-edit everything. And thankfully, the one nice thing about picking up the lore series is that editing regular guides feels like baby games for babies now. When you piece together, you know, 240 individual voice files and countless hours of cut-up footage of the story beats, editing in annotations for rotations and minor bits of text and stuff for a guide doesn't feel like a Herculean ask anymore. Like, at first it used to take me a long time to edit the guides, even at the most bare bones level, because I just hadn't done a lot of video editing before, and so it took me a long time to do even the most rudimentary, like, anyone should be able to do this kind of edits, and now I can usually knock out the editing for a guide in usually about an hour at worst. Sometimes a little more if I'm doing something really intricate, or if there's like a ton of rotations. More often than not, the guides that take the longest to edit now are the updated elemental effect guides. Mostly because in those I tend to do the entire team rotations instead of just the new character. So that typically involves a lot more, you know, overlaying the text and alternating stuff, because I just use DaVinci Resolve for my editing program. I don't do enough video editing to justify spending real money on something like, you know, Sony Vegas or anything like that, or Premiere. So it can be kind of cumbersome to get the kind of text edits I want, because if I want to do like shading the outlines of stuff for the rotations, for example, so like anytime there's like a blue, red, yellow orb, I highlight that part of the rotation with that color as the outline text instead of the usual black text with the white outline. And that's not super hard to do. It's literally just a shade filter that you add on. But the problem is you can't do it for individual parts of a text. So like if I type out the entire rotation in one bar, I have to omit the stuff I'm going to color and then copy the original text, overlay it on top, and then space it out so that it fits in the text that's already on the screen. And at this point, like, it's very not cumbersome for me to do just because I've done it so many times, but it does slow down notably. So, like, anytime I get a character like Karen, where the vast majority of her stuff is tap basic, hold basic, use dodge, I'm just like, oh, thank God. I don't have to recolor 500 pounds of text here just to get the rotations on screen. So, okay, so not a single early copy. Not surprised. That's what I get for not recording my rolls for a hot minute, but nonetheless, so that is a grand total of 72,500. So that's one of the weaker ones I've had in a very, very long time. Is that actually my worst since I started tracking these? I think it is. Yeah. What a surprise. The bratty child with the anchor makes me go as hard as I possibly could have. Again, I deserve this. I haven't done one of these in a while. But, nonetheless, okay. I need to get this nerd built and actually start doing my own Warzone runs and testing out some other stuff. I also need to start fiddling around with darkflow and see how that's changed. Hopefully we get a darkflow Warzone maybe next week. They've been pretty good about giving us the elemental effect for the new character, usually within a week or two of their release. So as soon as we get that, I will get to work on the darkflow guide. I also need to get my Pyroath leaped and take a look at that, do a leap guide on that. And then, yeah, as mentioned, I have a couple of potential yapping topics I want to go over with the state of PGR as it is, now that we are almost exactly a year removed from the end of the global sync. And now we're 2/3 of the way through our first year of the whole philo tree system, so I've got no shortage of things to yap and talk about that are kind of on my mind in terms of how PGR has changed and evolved. There's also a lot to talk about with this patch in particular. We got some notable quality of life changes. The physical damage calculations changed for the first time in many, many years. That's something I should probably go over, and something I would have put in the guide had I realized they had done that. But until they released the patch notes for the global version, I didn't even know they were doing that. So lots of stuff to talk about, so I will have no shortage of topics and nonsense to make for videos during Karen's patch. But for now, I'm going to go get her built and start messing around the war zone, figuring some stuff out. But yeah, and as always, hope y'all are doing well. Hope your rolls went well. Let me know how they did down in the comments and all that good stuff. And that's it for this one. Like I said, these are just low effort, me stream of conscious into microphone, and whatever farts out on the video is whatever farts out. So, as always, appreciate you all for the feedback, support. If you have any questions on Karen, feel free to ask those down in the comments on that guide. I've been trying to get to those each day as I get up and get my day going. But for now, that's going to be it. And yeah, y'all be good. Take care of one another. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.